This is the second of my live videos. This video that I'm making is to do with internalizing racist words and the implicit mind plus ignorance and domination around mind phenomenon and how people use their minds. So, like, when you look at internalizing racist words so that you're knowledgeable, understanding, not necessarily just that's all, and draw the line there, with without being a racist person, behaving race in a racist way, and using racist words to be racist. So when you internalize that, you have the unconscious mind, or rather like the subconscious part of the mind, at the back of the mind, the back of the brain, which is the implicit mind, compared to the front, which is what you use when we're conscious, which is the explicit. And in terms of tokenizers and modalities, where racist words are concerned, it got me thinking about ignorance and domination. So, like, and that of examples that have manifested themselves, like in this book, for instance, where you have classic examples of racism that manifested within all its different terms and conditions and the terminologies of the forms. By example, come to oppress communities that were underdeveloped anyway, and deprived, although acts of oppression and oppressing human beings via racism because of their colour or their ethnic, the colour, ethnic and native origin, where they were born even. These are easily linked between domination and ignorance. Well, the more I've been looking at it, and as a result of that, especially in terms of victimhood, you're talking about depression. Even the likes of a racist obviously suffers some sort of anxiety and depression within the stressor, or the mind stress of being a racist, because their condition was like their condition is is subjective and objective, within its ignorance, and domination, to be admittedly proud. The proud is like a proud transgression from subordinate behaviour. Obviously, like racism's an insubordination. You can't. There's no shifting from the definition. And it's a way to cause insult to and eliminate, and in terms of eliminate and what is that? Like execute's getting even harsher. That's really harsh for me. That's a really bad way to put it. But when you're a racist, contributes towards discrimination and the deficit of like the cognitive and cognition, because it's a terrible way to communicate. It's not very intelligent, really, at the end of the day, to be so dominant and ignorant, by being racist. You're contesting to an attitude of racial superiority, and serving to be a source of incorrectness at the end of the day by being racist. So looking at that as a consequence, dominance and ignorance is typical of someone who's internalized racist words to adopt that attitude and behavior. That's that sort of that nature way of a bad habit, seriously bad habit, in the learned and unconscious assimilation of stereotyping people, be it their race, as their gender, their class, and that through the likes of the unprincipled and unlawful likes of such a betrayal, like the betrayal of racism, in terms of like, because it's just a way to hurt someone's feelings, really, at the end of the day, isn't it? In sharing your own disrespectful emotions through such dominance and ignorance. So, and to ignore another person's feelings on the matter as well. So, like, your racist views and opinions are more important than that of a person who's not racist when you're representing racism as a racist. I think it's quite like it's quite an interesting one, in a way, in terms of looking at the dominance and ignorance in confused statements that express racism through the likes of their dominance, ignorance, or confusion thereof of that such negative and judgmental behaviour. It lacks empathy. Which is obviously, that's like a mind phenomenon of the mental faculties of and that to you get into the likes of personality disorders and psychopathy, and where people are unremorseful and very shallow in their manipulative and callous, especially with the most narcissistic form of racism, and that people that are typically reluctant and weak in their perception of racial matters, and enjoy the potential of being so dominant and ignorant, and that. So, looking at the subject of internalizing a belief like that, you have to understand the reality of it as well, and how that's internalized in terms of using racist words and being a racist. And you have to look at the perspective on perception as well, in the process of how they've made something out of nothing, if you like, or unworthiness, to be such a harsh thing and such an internal aspect of their mind and their own being and personality, to be such an offensive way to keep themselves in taking something as simple as your humanity away from you through the lights of racism, and forcing others to express racism as well, to be part of their own identity outside the direct completeness of being a human being. So when we look at that, again, it's dominance, it's all about domination, and it's all about the ignorance that goes along with that. I will be leaving it there. I'm going to make another live vid soon and make it as quick as possible. It's going to be about friendship and love, and that within racial matters. And I might emphasize the friendship and love bit a bit more with business as well, and partnership on an executive level. So thanks for checking it out. Cheers in a bit.